Good morning, guys. Today we're going to have a day exploring Stirling Castle. What a beautiful view, and we're not even at the top yet. It does help that Stirling Castle sits on top of an intrusive crag. Let's go get our ticket. Let's start in the beautiful Queen Anne Gardens. There's been royal gardens here since the 1400s. It's a bit windy up here, but we've got beautiful views. Just to the left there was the King's Knock. It's a geometric octagonal earthworks in the ancient royal gardens. In 2011, archaeologists carried out a survey which showed a round feature predating the visible earthworks, with possible links to King Arthur. This beautiful beech tree is over 200 years old, and yes, I gave her a hug. I could spend all day just looking at these views, but let's go see what else we can find. Oh, it's a wee bit dark and it's got a window. Here's the car park. Into the belly of the beast we go. Gosh, it's massive. And just imagine the big old wooden doors that would have hung here. Oh, it's back to the Queen Anne Gardens. Just a slightly different view. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh wow, the palace is stunning. The vaults are a great place for the kids to explore. It's full of music and different paints, tools, fabrics, and even jokes from the 1500s. It was rather busy, so I've tried to capture as much as I can for you, but whatever we've missed just gives you a reason to come here yourself. A wee example of how they made the Stirling heads back in the day, and some fashion too. I think out here leads us to the outer defences, and then I'm pretty sure that we can go into the palace apartments from here. Here we are. There's one of the cannons there. I think they used to have jousting tournaments down there somewhere near the King's Knock. A little bit of info on the old chapel, but we can definitely get to the palace apartments from here. The 7 new hand-woven tapestries that took 13 years and £2 million are found in Queen's Inner Hall. Please don't forget to look up. The Stirling heads are some of Scotland's art treasures and also the finest examples of Renaissance wood carvings in existence. After a roof collapse in 1777, only 38 of the 56 survived, and they are displayed in the gallery here. Pictured are kings, queens, nobles, Romans, religious figures, and even mythological creatures. We're now pretty much in the centre of the inner close. Perfect time to stop for lunch. It's lovely and cosy in here. We are inside the museum of the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders. This museum has over 200 years of military memorabilia and artefacts. From the sporns to weapons, a ram's head to uniforms, there is stuff everywhere and something for everyone. Our next stop is the Chapel Royal, built in 1594 by King James VI for the christening of his son Prince Henry. It's also considered the first Protestant kirk in Scotland. Sorry I didn't get much of the Great Hall. There was a tour group going on and the guide did not look happy that I had a camera out. Moving on from that, kinda hidden off in this corner here is a close, which takes us to the Douglas Gardens. The gardens are named after the 8th Earl of Douglas, William Douglas, who was thrown from a window by King James II on the 22nd of February 1452. I've read a few different accounts as to why he was stabbed and then thrown. They all mention a disagreement. Some mention Douglas's son, some mention an assassin's plot. To be honest with you, I don't really know and they all differ. So I suppose the complete truth is lost to history. But whatever it was, it led the king to violate his hospitality and he murdered William Douglas after inviting him over for dinner. You don't do that here. For such a horrific thing to happen here, it is rather peaceful. I'm determined to find that info board about William Douglas. I'm sure it's here somewhere. Sorry, easily distracted with the view. Doesn't tell us too much. I love walking up on these walls. You get a whole different perspective of the world. This place would be absolutely fantastic for a game of hide and seek. Oh, I think I see cannons. It is. We've made it to the guard battery. The guard battery was built in 1689 with one platform facing north and the other facing south. During a Jacobite siege in 1746, the guns were fired for the very first and the very last time. The Elphinstone Tower used to stand much taller than it does today, but it was cut down to provide a base for some of the battery. The Elphinstone Tower was home to the constable who looked after the castle when the royal family were not in residence. The most famous constable being John Stuart, who was a Scottish soldier and constable for King James VI, and he supervised the building of the timber gallery on the palace and repairs to the gatehouse. Now let's head down these stairs. It's the perfect place for some ghost stories. Many castles in Scotland have a grey lady, but Stirling Castle has a green lady, or the Highland Girl as some know her. She was a maid to Mary Queen of Scots, and one day she had a premonition of a great fire, So the girl offered to stay awake all night on the 13th of September 1561 to protect Mary from the fire. However, the girl could not, and she fell asleep, knocking over a candle near her bed and the curtains catching on fire. Luckily, Mary was saved, the girl was not, and it's said that she haunts the castle as a malevolent spirit. We also have the Highlander ghost, who's often mistaken for a tour guide by many tourists each year. It's said that he vanishes right in front of your eyes as you approach him. Let's head back up to the daylight and to the outer close. We're heading up to the north gate now, but before we go there, let's have a look in at the great kitchens. This is the kitchen where only the best was good enough. Venison, salmon, beef, pies, and pudding feasts were on the daily, and the poor servants only got bread. It's really cool down here, and there's so much detail they've put into this exhibit. Just wish it was a little bit lighter so that you could appreciate it all. Look at that! Oh, I bet it smelled amazing down here back in the day. Look at all that fresh bread. I wish it was real. This is the North Gate. It dates back to 1381 and it is the oldest surviving part of the castle. It was a critical entrance and central feature in the defences, and it also holds the original kitchens. It was built by King Robert II, who was grandson of Robert the Bruce and also the first Stuart monarch. As we come out the north gate, you'll see the old guardhouse to the left. This was used for protecting the magazines, but in 1810 it became a punishment cell. We are in the Nether Bailey area. It is unclear when it was fortified, but it is generally accepted that it has been a walled enclosure here since 1380, when the work started on the north gate. These buildings that we're walking along are called magazines, and they held the powder for the guns. Next up is the Tapestry Exhibition. It is a purpose-built building where weavers from West Dean Tapestry Studio reproduced the 7 tapestries depicting the hunt of the unicorn that we saw earlier in the Royal Palace. Remember, it took 13 years to complete and over £2 million. This is where the tapestries were actually woven. That's a much better view of the North Gate. Heading back to the outer close, I think we'll go have a little look on top of the Four Works. There's been walled defences here from as early as 1380, roughly the same time as the North Gate, but there would have been a drawbridge here. What we see today is tiny in comparison to the tower's original height. They were twice the size. James IV is responsible for the Four Works, as well as the King's Old Building, which is the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders Museum today, and the Great Hall. Let's check out the views from up here. Back in the outer close, you get a much better view of the Four Works themselves. Gosh, it's freezing in here. I'm not keen on it. Out of everywhere we've been today, even down in the Elphiston Tower, it wasn't this cold. Oft, this one's even colder. I'm guessing these were lookouts back in the day, so maybe it does make sense why they're a bit cold and dark, and I can imagine there's a lot of people died in them. Oh, we're really not keen. Let's just get out. Before we actually leave, let's have a wee nosy down the French spur and at all the guns. Mary de Guise constructed a line of defence in front of the four works in around 1559. The French spire is the most important surviving element of that. Oh, I didn't realise this is where they were doing the works, but we can have a nosy down anyway. I was hoping for a cheeky hot chocolate before we left, but everything's closing. They're kicking us out. It's time to go home. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.